Sometimes I come across a data viz in my day-to-day life and I think, oh, this was so close. This was so close to being an effective data visualization. It just hasn't quite hit the mark. It just needs a few tweaks. I came across one this morning and I thought I'm going to take it, I'm going to workshop it, and I'm going to film it. So here we are. Hi, I'm Kate Norris from Presentation Boss. We help experts to communicate their knowledge simply and effectively, specifically using data visualization and PowerPoint. Now this morning I came across this on the ABC website. Let's get me over here. This is a screenshot that I took. And I don't want to talk about the subject matter, but it was explaining why Byron Bay has the lowest rates of childhood immunisation in Australia, but I think they were specifically talking about New South Wales. So I came across this database and I thought, oh, that is so close. There's just a few things that it needs. So I recreated it. And there's a few things that I really like. For example, I really like how all the bars are one color. You don't just have that default kind of multicolored bar thing that you sometimes get. I really like how everything's aligned. It's really nice and neat. The labeling is really quite nice. I love the percentages being put all together on the left of the bar rather than kind of jagged out on the side. There's a lot of stuff that it's got going for it. There's a few things that I would change. Now, the first is we've got immunisation rates for children at 5 years repeated 3 times, and I think you could just get rid of that. And down here we've got marked with an asterisk. Just mark it with an asterisk. We know how that works. So get rid of all of that. Now, the next thing that I do, because the article is talking about Byron, I'm looking for Byron, which is fine. It's got the lowest rate. And then I want to know, what am I comparing it to? And it's basically New South Wales. And they've put New South Wales down the bottom as an overall baseline. I would like to see that brought up to the top because that becomes, what are we comparing it to? So let's bring New South Wales all the way up. And then the next thing that I'm doing is I'm looking, actually let's look at Northern New South Wales down the bottom. We've got a second baseline. I think this is a little bit the case of data for data's sake. It's not adding any value. I don't think in this instance that it's relevant. We don't need a second average. So I would just completely get rid of it. And then let's bring that text up a little bit. Now, the next thing that I'm doing is, obviously we've got Byron is the lowest, but I'm constantly going, well, what's after Byron? Then I need to find Lismore, and then Kyogle, and I'm constantly going back and forward from the end of the bars here back to the name, and my eyes are darting from one side to the other. And really, I can see that it's been sorted alphabetically. I see the logic behind that, but ideally what your audience is doing is trying to work out the order that it's actually in, and you're trying to do that in your head. So all it needs is to be sorted lowest to highest. And that just makes it really easy to see. You can see in order if you want to look at any specific rates, if you want to look at kind of the ends of the bars here to kind of get a visual representation of the percentages, it's much easier to see. And then the last thing that I would do, because this article is talking about Byron specifically, I would highlight Byron, really hone in on it, and I would just change the color to a darker color just to highlight it and kind of say, this is what we're talking about. This is what I want my audience's attention to be focused on. And that's basically it. That's all it needs. And this is the difference between the original and then the slightly modified. And I hope that you can see here that some really simple changes and just some thinking about what your audience is actually doing, how they're going to interpret it, means that when they look at it, it is interpreted much quicker and it becomes more effective at telling the story that you're trying to tell. If you have any data viz that you'd like me to look at, let me know. You know where to find me. All my details are here in LinkedIn. And I will do another one of these at some point. Let me know if you've got anything that you'd like me to look at. Bye.